Some issues, they just really grab the public's attention, don't they, and stick around, especially when it touches on something, well, fundamental, like public safety versus, deeply held beliefs.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that play out right now.
Exactly. We're talking about a recent, incredibly complex and pretty emotionally charged issue, the Supreme Court's decisions regarding stray dogs in a major metropolitan area. So today, we're taking a deep dive into this recent Supreme Court order. It concerns stray dogs in Delhi and the surrounding national capital region, Delhi-NCR.
And it's definitely stirred things up. A lot of controversy, a lot of debate across India.
For sure. Our mission here is really to unpack the different layers of this. We'll go from that initial court order right through to the public reaction, the legal challenges. We want to help you understand all the different angles, the perspectives, and how the legal side of things is kind of shifting.
It's a complicated picture.
It really is. You're going to hear about these really conflicting viewpoints. It boils down to this tension, right? Public safety versus animal welfare.
And how that clashes with previous legal rulings.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, let's unpack this. Let's start right at the beginning. The specific details of that August 11th order. It came from a two-judge bench of the Supreme Court Justices J.B. Pardiwala and R. Mahadevan.
And it was a pretty forceful directive.
It really was. It ordered authorities in Delhi-NCR to basically immediately remove all stray dogs from the streets within 8 weeks. And this is the key part, I think.
Yep.
Irrespective of whether they were sterilized or not.
That irrespective part is huge. A major departure from previous thinking.
Right. And the order didn't just stop there. It said these dogs had to be moved to special shelters.
Not returned to their original area.
Explicitly not returned. And these shelters, well, they had strict requirements. Had to be equipped for sterilization, vaccinations, basic care.
And monitored via CCTV, too.
Yeah. And they even mandated a helpline for dog bite complaints, with a really strict 4-hour response time.
Wow, that's quite specific.
It is. The court's reasoning was stated pretty clearly. Public safety, especially for kids and the elderly, was the absolute priority. They put that over what they actually called emotional or sentimental attachments.
That phrasing itself is quite pointed.
And they didn't just ignore the existing animal birth control rules, the ABC rules, they dismissed them, said they were ineffective, even though those rules required sterilized dogs to be returned to their habitat.
Which was the established practice based on those rules.
Exactly. And maybe the most unusual part. To really underline how serious they were, the court quoted a line from that old Hollywood movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Really? That's unexpected in a Supreme Court order.
It is, isn't it? Tells you something about the urgency they felt, I suppose.
Indeed. That immediate, very comprehensive order, and especially, as you said, overturning the ABC rules directly, that marks a really significant shift. It's not just a new instruction. It shows the court pushing for a very direct intervention strategy focused purely on public safety.
Basically throwing out the old playbook.
Fundamentally reevaluating it, yes. And that movie, quote, it does convey this sense of stark urgency, doesn't it? Like they saw it as a really clear-cut problem needing decisive, maybe even blunt action. No room for nuances, perhaps.
Well, as you can probably guess, a ruling like that, so direct, so far-reaching, impacting so many animals and people, it definitely caused a reaction.
Oh, I bet. Swiftly, I'd imagine.
Instantly. Animal rights groups, celebrities, they jumped on it. Labeled the order inhumane. Some even called it a death sentence for street dogs. They were warning about, really awful outcomes if it was carried out exactly as written.
Understandable fears, given the scale and speed required.
And beyond that public outcry, there are some serious legal and editorial concerns being raised.
Okay, so professional critiques, too.
Yeah, editorials, legal experts. They started pointing out that this August 11 order flat out contradicted the ABC rules from 2023.
The very rules the court just dismissed.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. Those 2023 rules had actually been upheld by the Supreme Court itself just earlier in 2024.
Wait, upheld by the Supreme Court recently?
Yes, after apparently 16 years of deliberation on them.
16 years, wow. So the same court system upholds rules after long debate, and then a bench dismisses them shortly after.
That's what the critics were highlighting. They also accused the court of maybe using questionable data about dog bites to justify the urgency.
It is always crucial in these cases.
Right. And one more thing some pointed out. The order seemed to clash with what the government itself had said in Parliament about managing stray dogs. Isn't that a bit of a red flag when a court order seems out of step with the government's stated position?
Absolutely. That raises a really important question about legal precedent. about consistency in judicial rulings. When a court dismisses rules that were affirmed so recently, especially by the same top court, and after such a long period of discussion, it creates this real tension.
Tension between what?
Between, on one hand, the immediate public safety concerns the court was addressing, and on the other, these established long-term legal frameworks that were designed, presumably with animal welfare also in mind.
And it signals maybe a disconnect between the judges and the government?
It could suggest that, yeah. A potential disconnect between judicial action in this specific case and the maybe broader, perhaps slower governmental approach to the same problem.
Okay, so given all this backlash and these legal questions, what's happening with the order now? Is it still in place?
Well, things move forward.
Right. So in response to all the criticism and the appeals that were filed, a larger bench was set up. 3 judges this time.
Okay, review process.
Exactly. Specifically to hear what are called interlocutory appeals. These are basically requests made mid-case, asking a higher court, or in this case a larger bench of the same court, to look at an immediate ruling without waiting for the whole case to finish.
Got it. So who's on this new bench?
Justices Vikram Nath, Sandeep Mehta, and N.V. Anjaria. Now, this is really crucial for everyone wondering. While this review is happening, that original August 11 order, it remains in effect.
So the removal drive is still supposed to be happening?
Apparently, yes. The removal drive and the shelter setup are meant to be continuing. The 3-judge bench heard arguments, but they've reserved their verdict. That means we're still waiting for their decision.
And no immediate stay was issued? They didn't pause the original order?
No immediate stay. So during the hearings before this larger bench, both sides made their cases pretty strongly.
Right. What were the main arguments?
Well, the Solicitor General, Tushar Mehta, representing the government, argued that just sterilizing and vaccinating dogs isn't enough. It doesn't actually stop people getting injured or potentially getting rabies.
Focusing purely on the immediate physical risk to humans.
Exactly. But then you had senior lawyers like Kapil Sibal and A.M. Singhvi arguing for the animal rights advocates. They pushed back hard.
What was their main point?
They argued the original order completely neglected the practicalities, the lack of critical infrastructure needed, and it ignored the existing humane protocols that were already supposed to be in place for managing dogs.
Sort of. You can't just order this without a realistic plan.
Pretty much. And from a practical view, how realistic is an order like that? In a huge, bustling place like Delhi-NCR, removing potentially thousands of dogs, setting up equipped shelters, all within just 8 weeks. That sounds like a massive logistical challenge.
It's an immense challenge. Absolutely. You're talking about needing significant infrastructure, resources, manpower, coordination, things that, let's be honest, are often stretched thin in many cities.
Right.
And what's really interesting here, kind of tying back to the earlier point about implementation, the court itself, this larger bench, actually acknowledged something important.
What was that?
They recognized that the local authorities were partly to blame for not properly implementing the existing ABC rules. They identified that failure as a key reason we even got to this crisis point.
So the problem wasn't just the rules, but that nobody was following them properly.
That seems to be the implication, or at least part of it. It suggests a recognition that the issue lies not solely with the rules themselves, whether you think they're effective or not, but significantly with the practical execution, or lack thereof.
Which brings us right back to that core conflict, doesn't it?
It does. You have the ABC rules, recently affirmed, remember, which see stray dogs as community animals that should be sterilized and returned. And now you have this new directive that completely overturns that, demanding removal. It's a direct clash in approach and legal standing.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive has really shown us a major Supreme Court order driven by public safety concerns, running straight into strong opposition from animal welfare groups, and crucially, challenging legal frameworks that were seemingly settled.
It's a knotty issue with really profound implications on the ground.
Definitely. And it leaves you, the listener, with a lot to think about, I think. How do societies strike that balance between public safety and animal welfare, especially when they seem to be in such sharp conflict?
And what are the real long-term consequences of making these kinds of rapid policy changes, particularly when they contradict legal frameworks that took, as we heard, years, even decades, to develop and affirm?
Yeah, those are big questions.
It also makes us think about the judiciary's role, doesn't it? How should courts navigate these deeply divisive social issues? And ultimately, what are the most effective and humane ways to manage stray animal populations in our increasingly crowded urban areas?
It's a challenge, as you said, with no easy answers. And how the specific legal battle plays out in Delhi-NCR, well, it's certainly going to set an important precedent one way or another.